Over to the next panel. We have 4 panelists because this is a therapy area where we have tried to join 2 segments, cancer and depression, anxiety also. So we now go towards therapy area, oncology, and we have 4 panelists today with us who would be seeing the videos and doing the insights. Request them to please be patient with us during when we show these videos. In the oncology panel, let me introduce, we have Dr. Ulhas Ganu, MSc, PhD and PG Diploma in Management Studies, having 27 years of research experience and 28 years of industry association, specialized in quality medical information communication to oncologists, field force, and medical support marketing and marketing quality assurance. He worked as Senior Scientific Officer in the Chemotherapy Division at the Cancer Research Institute of Tata Memorial Center, and contributed immensely in many more reputed organizations. Welcome, Dr. Ganu.
Yeah, thank you.
Then we have Mr. Vivek Sharma. He is a learning development professional in healthcare industry since a decade. As a profound learner in oncology space, he is certified in cancer, nutrition and advanced patient care and palliative nursing. Currently, he is working with AstraZeneca Oncology as oncology training lead. Welcome, Vivek.
Thank you, Dr. Swati. Pleasure to be here. Yeah.
We have Mr. Amaninder Dhillon, having over 20 years of managerial experience and has worked for major multinational corporations, including Abbott, Pfizer, GSK, Dr. Reddy's, and AstraZeneca in variety of capacities. He specializes in strategic business planning, new product introductions, and cancer marketing. Welcome, Mr. Amaninder. And we have our very own Vivek Hattangadi, sir, with 50 years of experience, majored in pharma marketing. He's the guide and force behind Pharma State Academy, and he has written 7 books and guiding many students from premium B schools, including many professionals. Welcome, Vivek, sir.
Thank you.
We have the panel with us, and let us go towards seeing the oncology patient videos. These are very emotional videos. Since this journey is a very painful journey, I'll not say that this is the only journey that is painful, but it's especially when we hear the word cancer, it ignites a different sense of emotions. So we have 2 videos, each video of 9 minutes. We may have taken the liberty to cut out certain things, so please pardon us for that.
So my first question would be, sir, can you share a little bit about the time when you started getting some out of normal symptoms, and when was the actual time, and what was the actual symptom that made you go visit a doctor?
It was in 2010, June. I was holidaying in New Zealand and I didn't had any symptoms actually. I was completely asymptomatic. All of a sudden on 3rd of June, I had a lot of numbness in my legs, and in the afternoon I lost the total control and I became a paraplegic. Below the belt, both the legs were in complete paraplegia, 100% paraplegia.
So would you like to share what followed, and how did you end up in the hospital? And
after a series of investigation, doctor found out that there is a plasmacytoma in my dorsal spine, and it needs to be operated immediately in emergency. Otherwise, I will remain completely, confined to a wheelchair only for the lifetime. So I didn't had any other option, and doctor performed the spine surgery on 9th of June. And after 4 days, another doctor came and he confirmed the multiple myeloma. It was in stage 2, ISS stage 2. But before that, doctor told me, the spine surgeon told me that probably you may not be able to walk. And if God is really kind to you, you may be able to walk, but you might be limping or you might go bend and all that thing. And my journey started. I started with the drugs called, And then, after 6 cycles, I had to undergo a bone marrow transplant. So after 2 months only, I decided that those days, not many transplants were performed in multiple myeloma, especially in multiple myeloma. So, and I had a very, powerful cancer history from my parents, both the parents' side. There are more than 10 people have died because of various cancers. And after that, I was diagnosed with the cancer. So, the thought was that I may not even survive for 40, 50 days. And even doctors were also not very happy with my reports, because the reports were very, with lot of metastasis and lytic lesions in the bones, and lot many things were there. So I had decided, my wife and both of us decided to undergo a bone marrow transplant somewhere in US or UK. And when we got the, estimation and all that thing, and that much money I didn't have, because they said probably you may have to stay there for maybe 18 months to 24 months in US, and I didn't had any other situation. But still, I wanted to do the transplant in US. So I sold off my house and office all of a sudden, overnight. But I got a very good doctor in Mumbai only. He explained me everything, and he, completely he transformed my thoughts. And then I did my transplant in 2011, March, in Prince Ali Khan Hospital. And that was it. And I came into remission. And after that, I had a medically induced diabetes. It went up to 600. Then I had immunity was not there, and I got dengue also. So that was another thing. I came out of that till 2017. I was in complete remission. And during this time, it took me 28 months to walk normally. It used to take me, walk 10 feet. It used to take me almost an hour or so. And presently, I'm in complete remission. So life is beautiful, excellent. Though it is a roller coaster ride. For, completing and reaching up to this stage, one thing which I came to know, and I strongly believed, and I'm actually canvassing for that, is education is very important, self-education, and that's how my journey began for spreading awareness about myeloma in India. We are conducting a lot of webinars, seminars, and spreading awareness about multiple myeloma, and taking care of thousands of myeloma patients. Updating every day, we are updating, and what is new in myeloma. I would like to address this particular to the doctors also, that please tell all your patients and caregivers to maintain a diary, because cancer is a journey. Cancer is not a disease. We need to understand our own body, our own disease, and how our body is performing. So maintaining a diary and self-educating is very, very important. What time I have taken the drugs, and what drugs is creating havoc in my body, what kind of a side effects, what food I am eating.
Is there something that you would need from pharma industry or healthcare industry that might make your journey or patients like yours journey easier?
Awareness about the drugs, because see, there are branded drugs, there are generic drugs. So there is one particular stigma is there, whether the generic drugs will work better or not. So that kind of awareness only pharma company can do that. That is one thing. Second thing is affordability of the drugs is very important. So whatever drugs are there, because cancer drugs are very, very costly compared to other drugs, other diseases, and it is requiring at a very frequent interval. So affordability is very important. Third thing is trials. enrolling for the trials. Major trials are required. Another thing is they can sponsor. They can sponsor such kind of events organized by NGOs and doctors. They can also donate for this kind of activities so that we can carry on for this particular.
Were you able to connect to any group and understand that, okay, this is my condition and there are patients like me out there? Were you able to connect to any groups like that?
So when I was diagnosed, it was nothing was available to me except for whatever doctors were saying. And again, on top of that, it was going all bouncers, all these medical terminology, what doctors used to explain me in medical terminology. So it was very difficult for me to interpret it in a simple language.
So would you like to share something about what kind of challenges you had to face and your family had to face because of this?
Family and caregiver's role is equally important, because caregiver is when you have a strong caregiver and a good family, I would say 90% battle is won. Absolutely won, and I would like to thank my wife and my family for being with me with so many years, and that too, like they are like more than Everest, Mount Everest, right? And that is what is very, very important. I always tell people that, you should have a very good caregiver. We are talking about dealing with E's. E is education, A is awareness, S is support, and E is evaluation.
So my first question would be, it must have been very stressful for you to manage your work with your problem. So I would like you to share something about how were you able to manage between these two things?
This multiple myeloma was it's a form of blood cancer. It was detected in the year 2013. So I'm a survivor. And yes, this disease, the disease what I am carrying is not curable. So the medication what I have been into, and they have put me into a stable stage where the disease is not active as of now. And I'm not on any medication. But the problem with me is that this disease has injured my vertebra. And due to that injury, I'm stabilized with the screws. So doctor made me stand with the support of screws, so I can do everything except running and all that. But yes, I can manage. And my mood swings were little different and all that. I used to get like quite emotional. Many times I used to get emotional. Emotional breakdown was the most important thing. And I was always feeling that I'm not able to deliver. So I was getting then into depression and all that. I'm not competent. I'm not that. I know so much, but people, they don't take my view. But I was getting stressed. It was mental stress, not a physical one. To bear the cost of cancer medicines, it's so expensive. And now these days, what my myeloma people, my other group members, they are taking the medicines. They are such an expensive. Based on the body weight, the cost is somewhere around 1.25 per injection, and 4 to 6 injection we have to take in a month. And see, for a normal person also, it becomes very difficult to take such kind of medicines and all that. I told the management that I can fight with the cancer, but I cannot fight with the people. I want to leave the company, and from my own wish, as I cannot withstand all these pressures. And I'm finding it difficult because 14 to 16 hours staying out, and that also with my little I'll not say body is weak, immune system was weak, because I usually used to get so many infections, at times typhoid, at times this hepatitis and all that, so many infection I was carrying. So Since after this, my medication, I did all vaccination which kids they undergo. So all vaccinations were done, but still I was very weak in my immunity. I want to give inspiration to others also, that please don't think this cancer word is the problem. The fear, what my fears were: losing a job, having no money, and then how to bear the cost. Whatever I have earned, I will be giving it to these pharmaceutical people, industry, to buy those medicines. And I want the pharma industry to come up with the low cost medicine, but with an efficacy, proven efficacy. Of course, after trials only medicines are there. But yes, I remember when doctor asked me, Balwinder, because I was working in a company, I was well off. And he said that there is one medicine from, I won't name the company, from a company, and one is an imported one. Which one you will prefer? I asked for the side effects. He said both are, since the innovator is that, and they are equivalent. But anyway, the one which is from that is having lesser side effects. Losing hair and all that. So everything, I said, no, I'll go with the one which cost more. But it was at that time I was able to, because of insurances and all that, I was able to afford. And I don't know about the other. I'm on insulin. I'm having a myelinosis. I'm having thyroid. I'm having lot of side effects. I'm taking so many medicines, and above all, they recently detected some deficiency also, G6PD, where I cannot take all the medicines. So I have to be very selective. So that's why they have put me onto insulin, because sugar medicines, I don't have that high sugar, but they cannot give me medicines as such. It's at high risk. So I keep discussing this with my doctor, like what will be the impact, why I'm on these drugs, why I can't switch over to the lower category. So considering the risk, and of course the efficacy and the availability and the affordability, these are the problems actually which a common person.
Follow-up question. Back in the day, were you aware of such groups when you figured out that you have this condition, or even before that, when you were going through the diagnosis and you did not actually know what you have?
I'll say this is my doctors told me that there is a group doing something very good about the knowledge, awareness.
I'm taking you back to when your journey started. What made you actually visit a doctor? मतलब कोई ऐसे specific symptom signs that you felt here there's something wrong with me? Or
suddenly one day, this was in the year 2012, I was having so much of back pain, and then this pain, it was like going very high, and you'll not believe, and one day I took, I think, 5 tablets of Combiflam. After every 4 hours I was taking Combiflam, ki pain ja hi nahi raha. When I went to the doctor, he said X-ray, it's only the osteoporosis and all that. I was not satisfied. I said, in a few days, in a week, like the pain was gradually like going to the higher side. But then when they got me into the hospital and they did so many scannings and all that, 2 days it took them to first diagnose that there are stones in the urethra. Unhone surgery kar diya. But after that surgery, I was not able to get up from the bed. And then they said, ki, what's wrong with her? And I still remember wo CT scan mein color contrast karke kuch dekh rahe the. And they put me into the machine, and then they said, get up. I was not able to get up. I said, no, I cannot. I started crying. I said, no, I cannot get up. They were also worried कि एकदम क्या हुआ है. They said something else is there. तो मेरे को टेंशन की ये मेरे को अब क्या हो रहा है. And I was feeling something is wrong with me. It's not normal pain. कुछ गड़बड़ है मुझे. And then they find out some growth was there, and then they said we have to do biopsy. And yes, it was when they said your this vertebra is fractured. My doctors over here, not now they are my doctor, but my family was aware that something is wrong with her. that time. But when doctor said, no, it's solitary plasma, I said, no, sorry, doctor, it's not solitary. It's multiple plasmacytoma. And ये अब आपको पता लग गया है. Just tell me मेरे पास time कितना है. Nobody was able to answer that. And finally, through doctors and my family, my husband, everybody's support, I came out.
Is there anything that you would like to share? How can pharma companies or like healthcare givers would have helped you better throughout your journey? Is there something that you would like to ask or share?
First, the medicines, they should come up with the new technologies which could lower down the cost so that everybody can afford it. And they should have the insurance of their employees in such a way that they should, the treatment, it actually sucks all the money what we are having. It's a profit versus life. It's a money versus life.
We had the videos of these two cases, and I hope we were able to generate some insights which the panel would be dwelling upon. First question to Dr. Ganu. Dr. Ganu, what insights do you see have been generated, or what insight do you take out from these videos, also along with your own experience, since you have been there at Tata Memorial? Dr. Ganu, please share with us.
Yeah. I am actually not surprised that the diagnosis was delayed, because it is a universal thing about multiple myeloma. Means what I have seen is about 30% or almost 50% of patients may not have symptoms for first 3 months. So it's not surprising. And I neither am surprised because it's because of fracture, means secondary cause, that it was diagnosed. But most surprising thing is that the courage both the patients showed. Actually, it is exemplary, because patients generally get scared. So they are fighters. And that is something they are. In fact, I am again surprised that he went on to form a support group for other patients. So, you know, when they are combined, they can share information, and that's gone global, I believe now. So that is another surprise. And the thought clarity, which he said that keep a diary, write down which drugs, what toxicity, write down what adverse effects and what you eat and everything. So, you know, this is useful for follow-up with the doctor. And that is why I am really very pleasantly surprised that he also said that learn about your disease. And one more thing I will add is generic versus branded, he mentioned, and companies should educate patients on that. So the cost will come down. I think it was a great interview you have taken. Thank you.
Thank you, Ganu sir. It's a team. They have created this. Let us ask the next question, Zina. Yeah.
Sure. So I'll ask the next question to Mr. Amaninder. Both these patients have actually shared regarding the cost of treatment, you know, saying that it's on the higher side, rather it's unaffordable to many. So is there something that a pharma company or pharma companies could do to change this orientation from being, say, only profit-centric to maybe patient-centric also?
Sure. You know, so if you look in out-of-pocket scenario, which is India, price of the drug is the most important tangible decision lever. And the two ways pharma can support, one is which is in the direct influence of the pharma, and something indirect which is not in the direct influence. So the first thing, direct influence, is reduce the cost of the medicine, increase the access. And many companies, pharma companies, they give PAP. But again, it is very discreet. It comes with a fine print. So it is a profit-centered approach. Now, why doesn't pharma, if you're giving free drugs, you know, and that also worth cost lakhs of rupees, you should be yelling on the rooftop and saying that, look, we are the company which gives free drugs. So that is profit-centric. And unfortunately, only two companies in the recent past, only Roche and Pfizer, have rolled out an app-based enrollment for PAP. You know, so, and plus many other value-added services are also added to that in terms of psychological counseling, diet and nutrition, which is there. But how many patients have actually taking these services, what is the quality of the services? It's very difficult to evaluate because we don't know. It's not open for the evaluation. It's only probably will come to know if some patient gives a feedback about that. Second is most of the oncology now is getting into precision. So you have a genetic companion test which are there, and companies, they give free test, because they want to enroll patients. So it's again a profit-centric thing, which is a very narrow gene panel. If you're selling an EGFR positive drug, so you will only give EGFR positive test free. The patient-centric approach could be, a broader panel, because a lung cancer patient may not only be, for a particular company, because we know the disease is progressing, genetic changes happen. A patient who is EGFR positive may become negative. A patient who is HER2 negative may become positive. So a broader panel test is something which is a patient-centric approach which is there. And why only during the initiation of the treatment? Such kind of support should also be provided longitudinally when a patient for disease monitoring, relapse and recurrence. Like, can you give up concessional CT scans? Can you come up with some liquid biopsy test which helps in finding out early relapse and recurrence? So that will be a real patient-centric approach. Third, which is there, is that now government mandates phase 4 studies. You have to recruit some 100, 200 patients when you market this product for the safety of it. Again, the profit-centric approach is that you will only choose those particular sites or only those doctors which have an overlapping prescription potential. Why not encourage decentralization of the clinical trials, and open it up. Anybody who you feel patient should voluntarily come and say that, okay, I would like to, enroll. And there are companies now which are facilitating them, they have OncoShots or patient trials which have come up, which help in patient recruitments through decentralization of trials. So that will be real patient-centric, which is. The fourth thing, which is direct influence, is low dose SKU. Now, we know that pharmacogenomics of the Indian patients is quite different from the West. And most of these clinical trials are done in the West, keeping the Western population in mind. So the design of the dose and the SKUs are designed as per the Western body surface area in mind. A classical example is nivolumab. It comes in 150 milligram, but the doctors in Tata did their own investigation research trial and found out even 20 milligram dose is showing efficacious in Indian population. Now, for dose titrations and managing of side effects, companies should come up with a low dose SKU. But again, that should happen at a substantial price difference. Now, I've seen there are companies which have 80 milligram tablet, 40 milligram tablet. The difference between the two is hardly minuscule. That is to discourage that. So that is again a profit-centric approach. It should be a patient-centric approach where the low dose SKUs have a substantial price difference, which is it. Nevertheless, if you go through, there are very intangibles, again, apart from the direct cost of the drug, if you look into it, and if a discounted economic value is put on it by the pharma, it could actually bring down the total cost of the treatment. And for example, if in case of management of side effects, if we look into it, or total quality adjusted life years, that's a technical term which we use, where both the quality and the quantity of the life is saved. Now, if you walk through all these two videos, if you look at it, there were some common needs which a cancer patient had. And pharma can help in getting a better experience and outcome for all of these particular needs. One need which came up very, was of information. Now, can pharma come up with some local plain language summary, like Mr. Dilip, the first patient said that, he was not able to get what doctor is saying. Can it be converted into a plain language summary, which is illustrative with some graphics or animation? It is concise. It's available in different vernacular languages, comes from a credible source, easily accessible. That is something which a patient requires. It could be as simple as speaking books of children, where you press a button and, it speaks of. But again, the patient-centric approach is not there. It's only profit-centric, that I will give information which is only relevant to my molecule or my therapy area. I will only provide information for radiation, for surgery, for targeted therapies, but not for relapse and recurrence. So that is a patient-centric approach which is there. Now with all this digital opening up, can you leverage patient testimonials or patient videos through simple QR coded cards or something, where a patient just scans it and the doctor who's treating his videos, he can see them at his own convenience, because doctor doesn't have that time. Pharma can, record those videos, of different common FAQs is there, and then that can be distributed to all his patients, which is there.
Mr. Amaninder, you have given a lot of insights into this. And
I have a couple of more, just
Yeah.
hold on, another thing is information is housing and lodging, for outstation patients, because cancer, the treatment is mostly happening in metros, especially for radiation. Can you come up which are those housing lodges which are available? Can you tie up with Oyo hospitals or Uber for a discounted schemes? Then there is a need for physical, because the side effects are so, tough. Patients are not able to, there's rash, neuropathy, ulcers. Can some discounted kits could be given, for the company? For example, there's 2 patients, they had this multiple myelomas. They could have been given some prosthetics, some backrest cushions, at a discounted cost, from a good, orthopedic company, or some remote monitoring. Now, even, there's a hospital, for example, Manipal hospitals distribute Fitbit for all the patients that are discharged, so that they can regularly monitorize whether they're exercising, how active they are. We have Bluetooth enabled, weighing scales, so patient can weigh at their own screen and the data can be prospered. Psychologically, people, who wants to, they're totally, broken. So can you give them some white pages of NGOs? So many, there are hundreds of NGOs which are doing, but who is doing what is the address, who is the contact person, can that be given to them? Caregivers training, Tata has a program called Kivit. Can those snippets or free, booklets of that training modules could be distributed to the caregivers, so that they can read how to take care of a cancer patient? Some subscription to motivational podcast, YouTube videos, which is there. Then there is some indirect financial things which you can support. There are no medical companies which provide medical loans. Companies, pharma companies, if they're really patient-centric, they can do some sub-vetting of the interest, especially like companies like Orobio Finance and Let's MD. The interest could be taken by the pharma companies. They could do fundraising for crowdfunding support. There are many vocational courses which could be given for cancer patients. Many cancer patients lose their job because they cannot. So can they be given any vocational courses? Or if there is a death, unfortunately, the next kith and kin, and there are Dr. Reddy's has a very good such a program called Labs, which is Livelihood and Business School for such patients. Social needs, patients like me, whom does he go and speak out? There's nobody else who will be in the similar pain but a patient. And now with digital, we have those. There's, for example, lung cancer is Inspire. It's a closed group Facebook where people chat, they communicate. This like multiple myeloma friend charitable trust, which was being initiated. So all those things could be initiated by the pharma to build up that encourage this, positiveness about cancer. You could start up with something like Cancer Got Talent, invite cancer survivors. These 2 people, they could be really good motivators for the sales team, and they could come as a motivational speaker to the field team or to the head office.
Yeah, Mr. Amaninder, I will have to close
Sure.
this question for you now, because we have other panelists, and I'll take up the next question with you later. You have given so many ideas that it is going very quickly over my head. So please be slow. I cannot get hold of what ideas you gave, apart from few of them. So just requesting you to bear with us. Vivek, I will ask this question to you.
Yes.
Any activities would you like to suggest to pharma brand managers to change their approach currently to a patient-centered approach, more patient-centered approach, I would say? Not all are not patient-centered, but what all activities would you suggest?
Thank you, Dr. Swati. And first of all, thanks, and great to be here. And empathetically, I was listening to the stories. And it is very difficult to speak after Amaninder sir, because already thoughts have been shared, but still I will not, stop trying. So what happened? First of all, I will give a disclaimer that these thoughts are coming from my own, skill of patient centricity, not from a disease or a product centric from my company, but from totally as a capability of patient centricity. Now, I believe that when I see cancer journeys in last 4 years, and I have a lot of opinion on that pharma product managers or even any department in healthcare industry, when they're working for cancer, they should not talk about patient pathway. So what happens, the patient pathway is the structured pathway where the patient enter a journey. There is a detection of the symptom, then there is a referral to the specialist, then there is a diagnosis, then there is a testing, then there is a registration, then there is a subscription or whatever. The entire enrollment happen with the various 9 to 10 touch points up till he reaches his, a home by after getting the chemo, radiation or any drug. In that, there is no emotion involved. So when you involve any emotion in that, this patient pathway, which is a non-emotional or a what I say structured concrete jungle, it become a emotional journey, it become patient journey. So first of all, pharma, I think every department should do a emotional journey mapping. They should not talk about the only pathway, which is only milestones, but emotional pathway, which become the patient journey, number one. Number two, I feel integrative oncology. Every brand manager or any person who is dealing with cancer drugs, they should include integrative oncology into their approach. What is integrative oncology? Integrative oncology is a holistic 360-degree approach from oncology. It starts from even keeping in the mind the palliative care, because I am certified as a palliative care nursing specialist. So I have read that, and I've seen that if you keep that side effect management in the mind, that rehabilitation, reversal of the symptoms, and forget about the disease, elimination. It will happen or it will not. Maybe cancer journey depends on that. But you keep as a provider of solutions, the integrative oncology in the mind, the side effect, the lifestyle management, as Amaninder also told, the podcast, raising the motivation or the morale of the patient, all these things come under integrative. So these two things are very important, which I recommend for healthcare brand manager. Only 30 seconds more, Dr. Swati. I will also not let the responsibility on the patient should be also there. I am listening so many talks since morning, but we are giving a lot of, responsibility is not felt at the patient. Patient should also have some responsibility, I feel. In the patient videos which I have seen, both of the patients were educated. They were highly literate. They were in an elite class, but they were not aware about what happening in the journey. They become certainly aware and after they hit by the cancer. So I want that every patient or every person who is educated or literate, or even there is a genetic history also of the first patient. He has a hereditary going in the family, but there was no awareness at his level. I also feel if the patient is educated and there is a family history, he or she should be hold responsible and onus to take care of the family tree, the family line which is coming over there, his own self, by rightly educating himself. So not only pharma industry should do, but lot of to be done from the patient side. I am saying that with whole confidence, right? So these are my few thoughts on that.
I partly agree, Vivek, here, because as human beings, going through the life as it is, filled with all the ups and downs, we do not take care of our health, and we only take care of it unless and until we are hit by something which is hampering our daily life.
Yeah.
That to that level we are so ignorant about our health that okay, kabhi kuch ho gaya, to chalo, it's one-off event. We will not read about it or learn about it. No, we will only go around it because it is now hampering our life. So I agree with that point, Vivek. But yes, nonetheless, it doesn't remove the responsibility from the professionals who are working in healthcare industry. They are earning their livelihood there, and they should be held responsible for creating awareness more and more. Zena, next question, if you can ask.
Yeah. So my next question will be to Vivek, sir. Sir, both patients have talked about stress and anxiety, in the course of from when they got diagnosed to treatment, etc. So what are your thoughts on this aspect of oncology?
Before I come to the topic, Zena, first let me congratulate these wonderful gods and persons who have fought cancer successfully. Not just that, they are helping patients like me to fight the disease. I very salute them. Answering your question, not only the cancer patients. When I saw all the patient videos, all the 32 of them from various medical conditions, including psoriasis, including POCD, and many others, stress, anxiety, and depression, they are the common thread in almost all the chronic disease. So when we are talking about stress, anxiety, and depression, I don't think it is restricted or only to cancer. Now, when you're talking about stress, anxiety, and depression, let me tell you that these three terms, they are not synonyms. Stress, anxiety, and depression, they are not synonyms. Stress, it is a response of our body to threat. And here, in this case, the stressors are the medical conditions. Unfortunately, what happens in these medical conditions? Cortisol is released. And cortisol is the primary stress hormone. And chronic stress can wreak havoc on the minds and the patients of the body. Very, very sad. And in all the videos which you saw since morning, one common factor which is standing out is the support from the family. To reduce the stress, probably there is nothing better than the support which they receive from the caregivers at home. Coming part to anxiety. What is anxiety? It's a feeling of apprehension and fear of what can happen to me. Anxiety, as they say in psychiatry, generally comes before an event, whereas depression is after an event. People feel sad, there are crying spells. We have seen a number of patients, both the ladies of a POCD as well as the lady with depression, they were crying. Many cry openly, some do it in silence. And the worst thing about depression, it leads to suicidal tendency. Depression leads to suicidal tendency, and many people actually they commit suicide. Depression can cause pain, pain can cause depression. I still vividly recall a cycle which was told to me by Dr. B. Mahadev Rao of PM Institute of Mental Health, Ahmedabad. He talks about the SAD cycle, SAD. And when he talks about the SAD cycle, he talks about stress, anxiety, and depression. And in his own words, the SAD cycle starts with stress. If you don't deal with stress, it gets worse and becomes anxiety. And if you don't deal with anxiety, it becomes depression. The SAD cycle worsens symptoms of the disease, and it causes mental agony. And this is equally good. The SAD cycle is equally good not only for the patients, it's equally good for the caregivers at home. SAD cycle is equally good for the caregivers at home. SAD cycle therapy is a type of palliative therapy and something to break this cycle. The problem has to be addressed for better prognosis. That is my take. Yes, Jana, that is my take. You can continue.
Thank you, sir. Swati, we can go over to the next question.
Yes. Vivek sir wonderfully explained the cycle, scientific explanation. And I think in this total explanation that you gave, there were many points where a pharma marketeer could look into and work upon for a particular therapy area. You have seen all the 32 videos, and hence I think you were able to collate the emotions.
I'm lucky that way. I've always been lucky, right from getting Swati as my mentor.
No, sir, mentee. The next question to Dr. Ganu. So you have worked in the Tata Cancer Hospital for close to 27 years, and you have seen patients, not even, I would say not interviewed, but you have seen them cry, you have seen the things that happen to them, to the caregivers and everything around them. what changes would you suggest to the young brand managers or marketing managers on the approach towards brand promotion, especially brand promotion?
Yes, I like this question because it has a lot of impact on the pharma industry approach. Actually, when I was working in Cancer Research Institute, adjacent to Tata Hospital, we used to always walk through. We used to see children with acute lymphoblastic leukemia, 3 year, 5 years, 10-year-old. And it was very difficult to pass through and see that. So what you say is very right, that companies can do a lot for them by actually educating them. And as Mr. Vivek Sharma told, that patient has also a responsibility. But what I observed is, whatever we do, the patients walk to the doctor only when they are in dire need. Otherwise, they want to take medicines at home also. So educating patients or educating people, non-patients also is important according to me. Yesterday, I saw a report. India had 19 to 20 lakh patients, cancer patients last year. That is 2022. Now, out of that, 30% are oral cancer patients. So we can reduce that load. United States had only 3% of all cancer patients as oral cancer patients. India has 30%. So tobacco. So educating people, because patient centricity, I mean, is not only the current patients, but would be patients. And I can influence them, but they don't come to me. So we have to go to them. And there I agree with Vivek that what he said. So what I feel is medical camps are necessary, and brand managers have to promote their company product. Definitely, that is their primary objective, but they can blend it with secondary objective of patient education. So another thing I will say is about multiple myeloma. 67% of the patients have bone pain. Even in case of acute lymphoblastic leukemia, children have bone pain and they have lower hemoglobin count, so they don't play. So these are the markers, they can be observed by family members, but this is not done because they don't know it. So what I think is that companies or brand managers have a short-term goal of promoting the product or immediate goal, and a long-term goal of branding the company. I wish they have ownership of a particular type of cancer where they are marketing their product, if not other cancers. But that means what? Talking to the oncologists of that faculty, arranging medical camps with Indian Cancer Society, like or preventing oncology department, they conduct such camps. So combine with them, you have less efforts, but a little of money to be spent, prepare literature. So if people know that this symptom can be this, then maybe a month of a problem and they can question themselves. Even medical MBBS, what MBBS? We have our structure, your homeopathy, Ayurvedic doctors. They also need to be made aware of, because many patients will go to them. So companies can work on this as a corporate social responsibility plus branding. This is what is my take.
May I add, Swati, a comment to that?
Yes.
Sure.
So, sir, well, patient centricity is important. It's also important to have empathy. Now, I'll just give you a simple example. For breast cancer awareness, so many companies come up with literature, which they distribute. Now, we know that, it's a conservative society, and, those illustrations at many times may be a little awkward in the family. Now, think about if a brand manager would have thought a little more carefully. A woman is, when she's bathing, can you design an illustrative breast cancer screening on a paper or on a material which is water resistance, which she can carry to when she's bathing, and she can do a self-breast examination. So that much amount of little sensitivity is also important, because what happens is, you are all the time in that mad race because other companies are doing it. Let me also publish, information literature or some kind of a thing. But when you actually speak and, get into a patient's shoes, that whether that patient material, education material which is there, whether that lady will be able to openly, when is she going to use it? And then you decide, on terms of what, the information you want to send it, how illustrative it has to be there, but when she's going to use it. So that would be a real good thing if, brand managers start thinking about that.
That's insightful, Mr. Amaninder. Maybe not the right example or not, but still the way you thought about it, like the patient journey, where the diagnosis will happen, where the treatment should happen. What are the various very minute touch points where a brand manager can touch upon? Yeah, Zena, over to you for the next question.
My next question is to Mr. Amaninder only. So we saw that in case of both patients, the initial symptoms or the initial problems were very different from what would we call as cancer. So I remember one of them had numbness in his legs. Balvinder said she had backache, etc. So what drove them to the doctor was not cancer, but was something else. Is there a role, Leda, that a pharma company could do, especially keeping in mind the digital avenues that have opened now? What could the pharma company do to raise awareness and probably make them think that it could be cancer?
Good. So cancer begins early, but it manifests later, So that's what it is. And if you look at it, 90% of the adult cancers and 100% of the childhood cancers are curable if detected early. So general awareness and early screening and detection is very important. And like Dr. Ganu said, yes, there was a recent publication which was published in JAMA, where they say that India has some of the highest number of cancer cases in the world, but some of the lowest rates of cancer in the world. So, maybe oral cancer is one exception to it because tobacco chewing is important. But if you look at, in India, the crude rate is 106 patients per lakh. But if you compare with Australia, it is 743, or New Zealand, which is 500. Now, but at the same time, the death is less. So, for example, breast cancer in India, it's 1 in 8 might get detected with breast cancer, whereas in US, it is 1 in 3. But still the number of deaths in US is less. One is definitely they have, good infrastructure, but it's also the early screening and diagnosis, which is also very important. Now, coming to early screening and diagnosis, and what Vivek had also, highlighted is that, one of it is genetics, So if you have a cancer, you must motivate and encourage immediate family members to go and get screened. And now we have very non-invasive methods also, like you have liquid biopsy, you have thermal screening, you have handheld mammographies. So that is very important. At least make sure that your immediate family members are screened. I know people will be a little apprehensive and fearful. What if we also get cancer? But then you have to build that confidence. If you get detected early, you will get cured also. Rather than, after 5 years, 10 years again come and they say, oh no, my cousin, Masi had it, or my, uncle had it. So then it is very late, which is there. So that is very important. Then general awareness, when I said is in the social, you have to demystify the myths which are there with cancer. There are a lot of myths which are attached with cancer, which is there. So which digitally you can do it, and many companies, many organizations doing. Like for example, I can say Chai for Cancer is one initiative. By an NGO. They discuss with doctors in a very plain language, again, like the way you have a couch conversation, and they discuss about what cancer is. You can do some community reach. If I remember, when AIDS was spreading, you had all those nukkad plays and skits, which NGO used to do it. Similar initiatives could be done, by an NGOs or through collaboration with pharma, where you can do some plays and spread that awareness. Residential welfare associations are also there now. Very, we have started going into community living. So you have a full community who is residing, 10,000 or 5,000 households are there. So there you can deliver some awareness lectures on Sundays, or you can use digital for do that. Another thing I think where pharma can influence the policymaker is, or the corporate, is to have a mandatory cancer screening for all 45 plus age employees in their annual health checkup. Currently, annual health checkup is very, BP, blood test, and so forth. So I think if they can influence, it is good that all employees above 45 age, they should be getting some kind of a cancer screening checkup. And it could be like any of these non-invasive things which are there. Another thing which is there is now where we are getting into some kind of a consortium which are being there, which do community healthcare. And like I can give example of Carkinos or Elsevier, which are community-based organization that goes for mass screening, where Aisha workers, they are enabled with digital, iPads, and they go and, note down the medical history of each and every individual. And it is linked through your Aadhaar, OTP, and you have that full digital thing. Then with the help of artificial intelligence, which is linked to your Indian guidelines and your global guidelines, the recommendations are then and there given. What changes they should do in their dietary or other things which they should immediately do it. And if need be, they could be then connected through digitally through eSanjeevani to the nearest oncologist. So that is something which is very important digitally, which can happen. And there are companies and the government is pushing it. What pharma can do is just ride that wave and take it, because you have a last mile connect. You know who's the doctor and where the patient channel follow is coming. So you can tie up with those NGOs, with those government things, and take it to the last mile more, you can say strongly, which others may not be able to do that. So these are my takes in terms of, how you should early awareness, positiveness about this thing, when you see and hear such patients that they have survived 2 or 3 lines of treatment, for others also it brings confidence. And in general, people feel, okay, so what, cancer is there. In abroad, people proudly, they wear those t-shirts and, they have those bracelets and they say, okay, I am a cancer survivor, and that disseminates in the society. So same thing, pharma should also try to, encourage that in whichever way they are, doing it.
Great thoughts, Mr. Amaninder. Right from, trying to remove the stigma or the taboo around cancer to trying to make a real difference to the patients' lives and, the lives of their caregivers. I think that's really a great entire journey.
Like I said, is another thing which although the government has also started is digitization of health records. So we don't know how my health was there 6 months back or 1 year back when I had gone for my health checkup. Those are in your patient files and it. So can pharma with help of some third parties could digitalize all those patient records so that it's very easy for you to carry it and to find out that okay, when it started and how the disease has progressed. Otherwise, if I can say, I don't have any X-rays currently of latest X-rays. I have to literally find it out where it is. They might have been pushed or maybe might have been discarded because you don't no longer required. It was required, like what Swati said. When I was in pain, I get an X-ray done, and now I'm okay. And now that X-ray is no longer to be seen. But if those records, which could get digitalized, and now the government is also insisting on that. If they can be digitalized, they can stay in a cloud or can be easily accessed. So when the next time you have a similar kind of problem, you can correlate, and then it's easy for the physician or the oncologist to find out okay where the problem started, and if you can arrest it early, the better it is.
Got it.
Right, Mr. Amaninder. You are actually giving out ideas, Mr. Amaninder, and the person who are actually interested should be writing these down to be true. You are literally giving the actual touch points here. Thank you so much for that. My next question goes to Vivek. Vivek, let us know about what is happening in the patient support groups, how these functions, and what are these initiatives doing in spreading the awareness about the disease and all.
Thank you, doctor. So for this question, I will say patient advocacy groups are created by good doctors. And when you ask me this, that what type of groups the patient should enroll into and should seek the help into, the right person to tell is that HCP. Why? Because as you heard, the second video where the lady was telling about her patient journey, she also told that the patient group was suggested by the doctor only, right? So I feel there is a complete trust and belief is required in the HCP, number one, whether patient advocacy group, even NGOs are working for this. Even crowdfunding is one important area where there is a lot of support is coming for cancer patients, rare diseases. But the right source is that HCP, right? So patients should give the complete holistic trust and faith to his HCP and open up. Another thing, patient's family member. I have an observation to entire panel. I will like to say, cancer patients sometimes lose hope that I need not to be treated, right? It is very costly. So more of the counseling and more of the treatment advice should be given to the family members more than the patient, because these people actually are having more belief. They want to treat, this person is very precious for them. So I think more time should be given by the HCP to the family members more than the patient. This is number two. It can move them. It can, have them much greater faith in life if the family members are being made the advocate for that. Number two. Number three, Dr. Swati, this is the answer for your question, which you asked, patient groups, that HCP and PAGs are there in each state, government run PAGs, and even privately run PAGs are there, patient advocacy groups. And I will also like to have just posted one book, which is The First Cell. I have seen this book and my complete paradigm change, that how cancer should be seen. So before treatment, let us understand the mindset of, seeing the cancer. This book is about first cell, that if you cannot identify or distinguish the first cell of cancer, you will be always running around this disease. This country or this world will never win over cancer if the first cell will not be identified. So I recommend this book to all brand managers, to all healthcare professionals who deal in oncology, that please read this First Cell, this book, and it will change your complete paradigm. Even you will think from the patient window, from the solution provider window, and HCP window also. So this is my third thing. And last point I want to also tell you on this, that responsibility on patient, which was my first point. Now you imagine, Dr. Swati and entire panelists, how many topics an average person see on digital. Have anybody educated them? Have anybody told that they raise the awareness on the health, yoga, and they are seeing by their own? Then why cancer or why this disease is not being browsed in the browser, in the YouTube, if the platform is available? And I will end my talk by one example. I am a coach, right? I have tried a lot, coach the person like this model, grow model, this model, I am failed. But when you increase the tendency of coachee to be being coached, that you are missing if you are not coached, you will miss something in the life, then he will ask for coaching. So now replace the coachee with the patient and coach as the doctor. You have to build the patient's tendency to live, patient tendency to treat himself, and before he become the patient actually. Even the school curriculum should have cancer studies. People should understand cancer from 12th class, entire cellular biology, entire DNA replication, and they will become more aware. So I still have my point and stand with that people should take more responsibility, more than pharma and more than HCP. They are doing their job at the best. So by this, I will end this. Yeah.
Very, very true, Vivek. And I think the way in schools you have those school buddies. If some new person, a new child comes to the class and the teacher tells, okay, he tags to one school buddy. Maybe the cancer survivors could be the buddies for new cancer patients. The ones who have lived for 5 years, they can be the cancer buddies for the newly diagnosed cancer patients. So
You're
rightly
right.
said. So there could be one area where more emphasis can be made, and pharma can support it.
Yeah.
Correct.
Thank you, Vivek and Mr. Amaninder. Seeing a book on this is really good. That actually excited me, that yes, this is one area where more written things, more animations, more awareness from the young age should be there, that you have to take care of your health, not only about cancer, it's all about everything related to a person's health should be there in the curriculum of schools as one of the mandatory subjects. That is how I understood this through you. Thank you, Vivek. Yeah.
I'll ask the next question. Vivek sir, it's for you. We discussed about stress, anxiety, depression, a little while back, where you gave a very beautiful explanation for the sad phenomenon that you called. But adding pharmacological agents to these, for treating depression and stress would further add to the financial burden for the patients. What do you suggest for this?
Absolutely right, Doc. Absolutely right, Zina. I recall a quote from Sir William Osler. He was a great Canadian physician. And he said, the good physician treats the disease. The great physician, he treats the patient who has the disease. He treats the patient who has the disease. So what does this mean? The great physician understands the patient and the context of the patient's illness. I believe a doctor's primary job is not just to treat the disease, but to care for how patients with these disease conditions feel and how they function. And this is not just for cancer, it is there for psoriasis, it's there for diabetes, it's for cardiovascular disease, name the disease. It's there. Patients must understand that something has improved when they go to a doctor. Patients must understand that something has improved when they go to a doctor because of his treatment. It has either improved his functionality or it has improved the quality of his life. Otherwise, he will always continue to feel stress and anxiety. And having worked so closely with the CNS departments, the CNS products from 1988 onwards till the COVID era, personally, I would not recommend any of the anxiolytics, any of the antidepressants. Let me repeat again, I will not recommend any anxiolytic nor any antidepressant. I would rather encourage people, or rather encourage the patients to come in contact with people like me. And if they have to meet people like me, I think this is where the pharma companies should cooperate. They should cooperate. They should collaborate and have patient-centered groups where people like me can come together, converse, and interact. And when you meet people like me, it may probably trigger off neuroplasticity. What is that neuroplasticity? It's rewiring the brain structure. It can even be neurogenesis or forming of new neurocells. In fact, investigations are on for neuroplasticity-based computerized cognitive remediation. So how do you spark or trigger neuroplasticity amongst these cancer warriors, among the diabetic warriors, and so on? You can encourage them to play mind games like chess or solving crossword puzzles. Read the Times of India for the crossword puzzles, the last page, that's the crossword. Do something which makes your brain happy. Like I, for example, I play with the street dogs. The street dogs, they follow me, and sometimes, the little children, they call me Piper Uncle of Dogs. I play with the street dogs, and this releases my oxytocin, dopamine, and other hormones, which make me feel so happy. Continue to give positive strokes to the patient, and there comes the role of the caregivers at home. Caregivers at home, they are very, very, very important personalities, and therefore I always suggest pharma companies should not only consider doctors and patients and as our customers, but they should also consider the caregivers at home as our customers. Be physically active. When you are physically active, you release a lot of feel-good hormones like oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins, and dopamine. Even today, early morning, 4 to 6 o'clock, 6 o'clock sharp, I go for my morning workout. Play with animals on the way, and that keeps me really happy. But let me tell you again, I will not recommend antidepressants. I'll not recommend any other form of drug therapy for relieving the stress and anxiety. That's my take, Zena. That's my take.
Very different,
That's,
sir.
I would like to say, actually, when you mentioned about Times of India, there was a news in Times of India a couple of months back, and Tata Hospital breast cancer patients were taught yoga. A group was taught yoga and another group was not given yoga. And what they showed, that at the end of some, I forgot number of years, but statistically significant difference in survival was reported. Means therapy, yes, therapy was top class therapy, but this was additional difference. So as Professor Vivek, I call him Professor Vivek only, as he says, actually what happens is doing exercises and maybe yoga, it gives you a lot of relaxation to the mind and muscles, and probably that works. Yes.
You rightly said, sir. In fact, ASCO recommendation also, recommends exercise. And that's what Vivek was trying to elucidate in the integrative care, where it is not only diet, your exercise, and your positive mindfulness. All three things add a lot to a cancer survivor.
Now it's around time that we will close the discussions. Otherwise, this is going to go on. This is a marathon session, and really happy with the way all have contributed. Salutes to all the experts who have joined us today and listened and contributed to this patient centricity, I would say, marathon now. Just before closing, I'll invite one or two comments from our speakers or someone who wants to add. Ashok sir, would you like to say something? You have been there watching us. Sanjay sir, yes.
Yeah, Swati, first of all, thanks for organizing this. It has been so interesting and invigorating, and so much of knowledge that I sat all through from 11 to now, going to be around 5:15. So that's a clear indicator that how interested I was, and it's really an event where I've gained a lot of knowledge and understood what patient centricity means to the healthcare industry.
Thank you, Ashok sir. Your support has been immense and your contribution has been immense. Keep guiding us, sir. Dr. Sanjay, few words from you.
Yeah, Dr. Swati, thank you very much for organizing this program. And I was listening. In fact, I was walking and realized listening, and it was quite a learning. I personally feel like I also need to go for certain medical checkups, neglecting. And I'm sure that this kind of sessions will enlighten people, and things will happen in the future. So it's a good initiation, good as far as the first step is concerned. And I think we need to continue this. A brand becomes a brand when there is a continuous promotion on the same indication for a longer period of time to the same doctor. So if we are going to brand pharma sales activities, then we need to continue that. Maybe not on too many topics, but we pick up one and then we specialize on that particular topic.
Thank you, Dr. Sanjay. We will try to streamline more over this thought. Akash, you want to speak something?
So thank you for making me, mute for such a long time. It was such an interesting. I was bobbling, to ask and to put my ideas as well. If you remember, Swati, a month back, I quoted for this. I am taking a leave. So the question was, of course, it was a Sunday, but then literally it was a leave for me today, right from 11 o'clock till now. I've skipped my lunch as well. So fantastic, and congratulate you, your team, the panelists, everyone for such a wonderful, insightful session, bringing a complete basket. I would say a complete basket of knowledge for the brand managers, for the promoters, for the pharma industry, and for the many new learners who were there. To take home, like I would say, I always believe in the traditional ways, like we had our ancient, Aryans and sadhus, that the traditional way of promoting things. So probably like we have the vaccination card for the newborns. So probably this implements the same in patient-centric program, having those cards, the vaccination cards in maybe diabetic, psoriasis, or PCOD or anemia. So probably that a take-home message from me to the promoters, where I'm self a brand manager. So that would definitely. So thanks, Swati, and fantastic. The energy of Ashok sir, as usual. Everyone, like what to say? It was a feast today. It was a feast today. Thank you for allowing me to talk.
Thank you, Akash.
We can take one more comment from the audience. If someone wants to, speak, can raise hand. We'll unmute you, and then yeah. Acha, Dr. Amit, welcome, sir.
Yes.
Please, sir.
Hello, hi everyone, and thank you ever so much for a wonderful Sunday treat. And I mean, everything that needs to be said has been said. My special compliments to Amaninder. You are an absolutely walking encyclopedia on what needs to be done with oncology patients. And I really hope that your ideas and your things will be tapped by all the people of the different pharma companies who are handling oncology portfolio. Thank you so much for your ideas. So I just like to reiterate something that I mentioned yesterday also, that we need to be very clear about what is required. Like when it comes to good drugs, all companies are obviously making an effort to bring good drugs. So from that point of view, every pharma company is patient-centric. I mean, right from MNCs to Indian companies. But we need to go one notch higher. And that is the additional patient centricity that all of you have talked about. And I think with due apologies to Albert Einstein, I will just tweak his formula, E is equal to MC square. I've always been talking in my medical practice that medical care, MC, is equal to E square. The first E is for empathy, the second is for empowerment. And those are exactly, I was so happy to see that is exactly what all of you are talking about. We need to be empathetic towards the patient. How is a thing that different companies will do it differently, but at least there's a willingness. And empowerment is very critical. What Swati alluded yesterday and a lot of you alluded today, we need to talk in the patient's language and give him what he or she wants, not what we want to give them. So we typically want to make an LBL, we want to make a visual aid, we need to make, that same one communication will not be suitable for all when it comes to patient centricity, because it has to be customized. And these oncology videos and the dermatology videos, very, very open on that front, that every customer or patient, whatever we call it, has a different experience and a different need. And if we are not customizing our deliverable according to that need, then it's an incomplete gesture. So empowerment is very critical. We need to give them correct information so that they can take the correct decision about how to continue leading their life with a disease that is not going to go away, but it can be managed. So MC is equal to E square. Please keep that as a new formula. Okay. And one last note on a lighter note. Swati, I loved your thought about the campaign for the spouse being a diabetic. Okay.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
here is a caption for that. A campaign for the sweet spouse. Diabetes makes him or her sweet,
Good one.
So campaign for the sweet spouse. So thank you all very much. And
Thank you, sir. Thanks for the encouraging comments. Really
Thank you,
appreciate
Dr.
it.
Amit. Yes, he has been there for the last 3 days. He attends all our sessions. What to say? We have one person who is there, always supporting us from that side. In our team, we have Vivek sir and many other eminent speakers. Thank you, Dr. Amit. Vikas, that would be the last comment. Mr. Vikas, please pitch in.
Thank you so much, Swati ji, and I am honored to share my views. I was there for the entire session. I would definitely say that today's session was a lot of learning and insight for me as a personal, I myself being a diabetic, I think it was a more of a knowledge, even a teaser for me. And I really appreciate Farmer State Academy and all the co-hosts, respected Vivek sir, Ashok sir, and Dr. Ulhas for the wonderful uh, program and wonderful insights which have been imparted. And definitely in the future programs, I will definitely would like to associate with the team and share my expertise with in the domain. Thank you so much.